Hello, welcome to episode 53 of I'm Fine, a chat between myself, Damo, and the founder of Introverts Unite Bristol, a local support group for those with crippling introversion. A safe space that that every member agrees to turn up to but cancels at the last minute. Mark. What? I've heard about your group. I think it's admirable.
I don't know how you heard about it. We don't advertise.
No. It's a chat around the subjects of health, wealth, well-being, fitness, sports, and I haven't put anything in there. We're all work in progress, and this podcast is no exception. In short, it's a poke at our perfectly imperfect lives, and if we can make just one person feel like they're not alone in all this madness, then our work here is done. Make sure you don't miss any episodes by subscribing to us on your favourite podcasting app, and tell a friend or a family member about us. And don't forget, you can get in touch with us on email at imfinecast@gmail.com with complaints about Mark's behaviour. Coming up, warm up and stretch, catch up some bookmarks, work-life ballet, life is an illusion, another bold title. It's got some mind-bending things to talk about. In Brain Food, we are revisiting sarcopenia, something to do about worms. I don't really know what that's about. We have some life hacks and some items from Mark I don't know about, which I found in your notes.
Okay.
How are you this fine day?
So I was thinking the other day, we discuss this quite a lot, don't we? When you ask me and then I sort of...
Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't.
I'm wondering whether...
There's a lot of chat about that at the moment.
I'm just wondering whether it is the best thing. It's sort of, sometimes I feel like it's none of your business.
Yeah, I get that.
Sometimes I feel it doesn't really matter how I am.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering
it's
whether...
the whole point of it though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I'm wondering whether it should be... the question should be replaced by a statement, something like, I hope you're feeling positive today.
And you go, I'm not, fuck off. Which is just like asking how you are, really.
Yeah, I guess. I sometimes don't like to be asked any questions.
Yeah, I know.
But I'm all right.
You picked the right medium, haven't you, for that? Discussion generally has questions.
Does it? Yeah, I'm all right. I'm just being pedantic.
Yeah.
I'll ask you as well now. How are you?
No different to how I was last time you asked.
I'm
on a,
par.
Flat line.
Yeah.
Yeah. Preponderance. You used the word preponderance the other week.
Yeah, I use it a lot.
Yeah. Do you know what it means?
Mm-hmm. That's why I said I use it a lot.
Yeah, that's a nice word. I'd like to, if I had time and the inclination, quite frankly, I'd like to go back and create a glossary, little coffee table book of all the lovely words we use in this podcast.
Oh, got an apology. I said mendacious. It's mendacious.
When did you say that?
The other day.
Did you? What, on the pod or just...
Mendacious means lying, and I used it, but I don't know why I said mendacious.
You used a word.
Incorrectly.
Unbelievable.
I'm surprised the PT union didn't pick up on that one as well.
Well, it depends who you're talking to. Was that on here, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
It was a quote. I did a quote, and it had mendacious in it, and I said mendacious. Anyway, moving on.
Right. Tesla and Bitcoin. As it's not news. It was news when it was news. We talked about Bitcoin on our wealth.
And then what happened?
Oh, that's true, isn't it? You keep saying this.
It is, though.
It is. We talked about it, and then Elon Musk goes and puts a little bit of money into it. For those who don't know, he's got to be. He's treading an iffy line at the moment because everything he tweets suddenly gathers pace because everyone, like Signal was one of he just tweeted use Signal when the new policy came out for WhatsApp, and basically the take up for Signal was just extraordinary. All their servers crashed. Tesla bought $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. Expects to start accepting it as a payment for cars in the future. The news caused the price of Bitcoin to jump 17% at this time to $44,000, which was an all-time high for Bitcoin.
I also know that the global market capitalization has gone over $1 trillion for the first time now. What are we up to now? About 55,000?
It wasn't this morning, but it's now $57,000. Almost £41,000.
So you're sitting pretty with your...
Yeah, well, I thought I bought high. I think I bought about 15,000. And as we've discussed before, I haven't got a whole Bitcoin. I've got a very tiny piece of one. But at the time I bought it, I think it was about 15,000. Literally within a week, it went down to about 3,000. Yeah. And of course, you go, why didn't I just?
Prices may rise and fall.
So Tesla said it was trying to maximise returns on cash that is not being used in the day-to-day running of the company. Problems to have, right?
Yeah.
Just all sitting around going, what are we going to do with this big pile of cash? Guy at work kind of sent me a visual the other day of what £1 million looks like.
Yeah.
Like a stack of 20s.
Yeah.
£1 million was almost as high as the double-decker bus.
Was it?
Just £1 million, yeah, in £20 notes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that just one pile?
Yeah, I don't think it was...
Like a tower?
Yeah, I think it's a tower, obviously, if you could do such a thing. But £1.5 billion. Imagine that just sloshing around. So Tesla is likely to have made larger profit from its Bitcoin investment in January than it did from selling electric cars last year, as the value of cryptocurrency went through as you said, the 1 trillion mark.
Yeah.
Assuming that the electric car maker holds as many Bitcoins today as it did on January 31st, it has made a paper profit of about 930 million, more than 721 million profit it reported for 2020. Imagine all that effort making cars to make that 721 million profit, and they've just smashed that within days of doing bugger all.
Have you seen some of the AI investment? Maybe we could look at this later down the line because I don't have enough information. There are people using AI bots to basically buy in the market.
Is this like anything off the back of the GameStop stuff or not?
No.
Is this predicting stuff or
no? It's basically, I don't know even how you do it, but you get AI to be making a whole range of like instant decisions on all the stocks.
Right.
But I imagine what's happening is rather than someone going, I think Tesco's might be going up. It's like literally split-second decisions of this is now moved, and therefore my computation tells me that if this moves by 3%, it's going to move to 5%, so I'm going to invest that and then sell it 2 minutes later.
Yeah.
And I've seen one scroll down, and it's literally transaction after, hundreds of transactions, and the person made like $100 or something. I think it's that sort of micro payments that that this AI is just continually investing on your behalf.
And it can, rather than the time it's taken to look at it, make a decision, pick up the phone, or even go physically make that transaction. It's already done it, or sold it. Or think about like the weather, meteorologists, and all the kind of the data-driven stuff. Because obviously AI is all data-driven. It's literally sucking it all in, and the more data it has, and the more it works, the better it's going to get over time, isn't it? So the weather gets accurate every day that goes by. The weather gets more and more accurate, doesn't it? When you've got what they're doing at the moment with the markets moving the goalposts on how trading works, then the AI has got to be moved. They're going to have to start changing the laws in terms of AI.
Well, we talked about AI devising AI. That's the problem. Yeah, when AI becomes
self-aware,
and can create better, then it's going to outperform humans in terms of investment.
There's the deep fake stuff. There's AI out there trying to detect AI.
Yes.
In terms of deep fake, they're going to have to run some AI to detect the AI within the markets. Because how do you know it's not someone physically typing it in over an AI typing it in? There's a mate of mine years ago. He's a real kind of gifted kind of web developer, buying and selling old iPhones on eBay. And he found a little kind of model that if he buys them, if he can get them for maybe $8 or something, he knows he can tidy them up and flip them for 15. Right. So rather than go on and do that manually, he wrote some scripts which went and found, look for this kind of spec, this price, this delivery cost in these areas, and it would just go and bid. And he just set a script that would bid automatically for it. So all these phones would just arrive at his door. I mean, he didn't even have to, and he could stop at any point, just let it run, and he'd just flip and flip and flip. He was making thousands. He got to the point where he just got bored of it and did something else. But that's quite a simple version of that.
As to kettles.
Is this your latest
this
business
is
venture?
We're going into business together. This is the side hustle. This is low level stuff.
I mean, I got that from Asda Kettles.
Asda sell a kettle that's quite a good looking kettle, and I think it doesn't matter what it costs X, and this person lists them on eBay. And what they've done is basically cut and paste the photograph from Asda and the description and everything else, but taken out any reference to Asda. They charge more for them. And it's a good looking, expensive kettle. When you look at the Asda one, you go, God, that's a bit of a bargain. And what happens is they've been set up so when someone on eBay puts in an order, that order gets transferred by the computer to Asda. The person who's running this side hustle takes the 36 quid for the thing.
Right, okay.
And then a payment gets made to Asda for £28, who get the name and address of this person and post them the kettle. So the person who's putting up the product on eBay never touches the product, never touches the packaging, never does anything, basically is a broker that allows someone to pay more than they would do if they went direct to Asda and pockets the difference.
Yeah.
And this person was saying, I do nothing. It's just someone clicks it, that click then goes through to Asda, and they send this person the kettle.
Because once you've got the automation, you can bring the markups down.
Yes.
Again, cover it as long as they cover costs. You know, rather than ripping the arse out of it, you can bring it down to really small margins because then it's about volume, isn't it?
The only problem that happens, of course, is when something goes wrong with it.
Yeah.
Because then you go, this kettle doesn't work, and then suddenly you're fixed with. You then have to go back to Asda.
You don't build one of those companies and then worry about customer service.
No.
You know what I mean? Because it's going to be busy. You're going to need 50 people on customer service while you put your feet up in Marbella.
And when it's wrapped in Asda paper when it comes in, that's delivered in an Asda van.
I was thinking about Tesla the other day, and I found this post which said 15 years ago these brands didn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
And the brands are Instagram, iPad, Snapchat, Airbnb, Bitcoin, Spotify, Pinterest, Uber, WhatsApp, blockchain, Slack, Tesla, 4G, Android and YouTube. Astonishing, isn't it?
Yeah. How long ago was that?
15 years.
15 years, yeah.
Just a quick stat on YouTube. I guess the point of this was just, you think they've been around forever. I mean, we know they haven't been around forever, but it feels a lot longer than it has. 15 years is nothing for those. So Google bought YouTube in 2006 for 1.65 billion. And YouTube's ad revenue is 1.65 billion every 3 weeks. It sounds astonishing, which it is, because the amount of money, when you're talking in billions, as we've talked about billions before, how much that actually is. You just can't quite get your head around that. No. Those levels of money.
And big business now is beyond.
Yeah.
It just gets thrown in, and it's just like, when you look at Amazon, you just go, oh, it's a big shop. It's beyond our dreams, isn't it, if you actually saw it?
Yeah.
That was an interesting, you said that 1.65 and just that sort of numbers like that. Did you see the thing? Is it the latitude and longitude of the pyramids are the same number as the distance from the Earth to the Sun?
Yeah, I've heard things like that. Yeah. And also there's something to do with like the dimensions of the pyramids. Mm-hmm. I can't remember what it was. Add up to 365, and you think, well, it just represents the amount of days. But then just thought about that. And we talked about mathematics in the last couple of pods. Yeah. Where if you look for some, we're coming up to this actually in Illusion. If you look for something, will you find can you find it? I don't know whether they've gone the pyramids, measured stuff, and go, hold on, that just absolutely adds up, or do they go, how can we make this link to the things that, again, you met about measurement? How can we measure this to make it relevant to the world that we can understand?
I think that's
you know what I mean.
Because you can measure it in feet and inches, and it doesn't match your criteria, and then you make it centimetres or millimetres, and it does.
Look at that. Yeah. Or the way you measure it, you can make it add up to. If you're good at maths, you can make anything add up to anything you want it to. Well, you can, can't you? Yeah. It's like all roads lead to somewhere.
Oh, the Big Sam and Little Rain, I've remembered now. Yeah. It was part 2 of my rant about the mainstream media. A dozen podcasts ago, I was saying, because I remember you laughing, me saying it's now legal that you have to have certain names before describing someone, and we said the Football Manager, Big Sam Allardyce, and Little Lorraine Kelly, and one or two other things. And I've been looking out for that, and I think what's happening more and more is that the pigeonholing of people now is becoming almost total in terms of, we were talking about be kind a couple of pods ago, and I think what happens now is more than ever, people are just put into this pigeonhole, and then that's accepted. So, for example, I've seen some descriptions of Chris Whitty along the lines of, he looked like the kid you bullied at school, doesn't he ever get out in the sun, blah, 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 based on his personal appearance. So if someone came up to the majority of people and go, what do you think of Chris Whitty? They'll go, oh, he's a bit of a geek and he's done that. For all we know, he's a swinger that plays American football and takes crack. But our perception and the way he is, do you know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, I think now in the mainstream media, everybody is almost, so this is the reason I'm giving this, I'm gibbering. Jamila Jamil. I've heard little bits of Jamila Jamil. I've seen little excerpts of her on Twitter, and I've heard one or two things on mainstream media. And I've jumped to the conclusion that she's a bit up herself. Mm-hmm. I then listened to a podcast that you recommended, and I thought she was eloquent. Mm-hmm. I think she mentioned her description around mental health was informative, and I've changed my perception. I still think one or two things she said were perhaps, in effect, easy for her to say.
Yeah.
You know, when it's like, well,
yeah.
sometimes I don't even wear makeup. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. But the point is that my view of her and the stereotype had been formed by myself, and I don't see myself as judgmental, and I'd fallen into that trap.
Yeah.
So if someone had said, which of these celebrities do you like?
Yeah.
Or which of these are a bit up themselves, based on nothing other than misrepresentation.
That's what I say, we all do it. I think
but I think it's now more than ever, and this is the thing I was saying about the BBC, the way people are now presented is you only ever see one side of them.
Well, would it be fair to say that your view of Harry and Meghan has changed now since when you first brought them up? Because I think they were annoying you when you first brought them up, and I was doing that because I think my personal view is I think the royal family's kind of, you know, I know what everybody's view of it, but I think it's generally an all right thing. And just because something's old doesn't mean you have to throw it out and reinvent everything. You know? What? But to be fair, I'm not really bothered either way. But it's like, well, it's all right. Because what I've said, you might have gone away and looked at it slightly differently.
Yeah, I found myself almost casually drifting into taking the narrative from the mainstream media. And every single person now seems to have to fit a criteria. It's almost like that sort of, it's almost like disposable. And I saw some, you know, Amanda Holden went to visit her parents. And so there was outrage on Twitter. Yeah. And my view is her parents were ill. She travelled and she saw them. It broke COVID rules. If my parents were alive and ill, I would do the same thing. Yeah. But the vitriol was around, she's vacuous, she's seeking attention, she thinks she's better than us. She could be a loving daughter going to see her sick parents. And someone said, oh, it's interesting that she went to visit them a couple of days after her 50th birthday just to pick up her presents. Yeah. I'm thinking the millionaire Amanda Holden doesn't need to travel 200 miles to pick up some birthday presents.
And they are the people, back to the kind of Harry and Meghan, who are getting stick for, you know, releasing a press release. They, you know, yes, they use the media. Of course they do, because of their positions and for whatever reason. Amanda Holden does. Yes. And actually even Jamila Jamil does. Yes. Because they're either high-profile celebrities or they're doing, you know, actors, or they're doing some charity or whatever. They're going to be in the public eye. If they've come from kind of good backgrounds, they're rich pickings, aren't they?
But then when you're a national treasure, you can do no wrong.
Because you've just gone the millionaire. You've just gone the millionaire Amanda Holden. Yeah. You've made judgment, you know, because she's got a load of money. If she didn't have any money, if she wasn't in the public eye, wasn't there? No one would give two shits about her. So if she was from a different background, it'd be a mercy dash. It's just the privilege thing just popped up in my head again, where that kind of tends to sway people's judgment. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. Oh, they're all right. Of course they'll be fine. They're a millionaire. Yeah. It doesn't mean shit, does it? No. Really. That what we've just been talking about was the kind of the meat in the sandwich about if you look hard enough for something, it will appear. Or it exists. Yeah. That kind of, and I've done some stuff that's all beyond me really, is the kind of does original thought exist? And the idea that if you can think, you know, just because you've thought something, it can exist, or it does, arguably it does exist just because you've thought about it. It's there in the ether, and we get into kind of truth and spirituality and consciousness, which I think we're probably going to come to. And I mentioned the Higgs boson particle, didn't I, in the last one? And I called it the God's particle. It was just called the God particle. But I've done a bit of digging on that, because we talked about Hadron Collider in the last one, didn't we? And the price of it. I think it's totted up to about 4 billion in terms of just how much it costs to dig a dirty great magnet in the ground, which is 27 kilometres in circumference. You know, no mean feat. There's some tremendous stats on that thing. I don't really want to hear them. No. But good, because I can't find them. I haven't got them to hand.
I am glazing over.
No, but the whole point of they built this...
yes.
Yeah, but you're still going to listen to what I got to say.
I'm listening. I'm glazing over because my brain doesn't...
No, but the idea they built this thing...
Can't even picture it.
But it's because it's so enormous, right? Which is good. It's backing up my... Yes. They built that on a theory. Yes. If me and thee decided to put a little business plan together, right?
God forbid.
We've got this idea, right? Yeah. We go, right. We think there's this particle out there. We think there's this kind of energy field of kind of, you know, we're trying to work out what mass is and the mass of particles. Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Okay. That sounds like a good idea. Why would we want to do that? Oh, it doesn't matter why. It's not going to benefit mankind in any one way or the other. That's not the point.
But it'd be nice to know.
Yeah. We've got this idea and we've got a name. There's this guy in the 60s who came up with this idea. We thought we'd try and prove him right or wrong. Okay, cool, I'm with you. So what you want to do? Well, we want to dig a massive hole in the ground. and build this fucking dirty great magnet that's 27 kilometres in circumference. Excuse me, it's what? No, it's 27 kilometres in circumference. And it's going to be the coldest place on Earth, the most vacuous place on Earth, and will generate temperatures 10,000 times hotter than the sun or something.
Yeah.
So we're going to create conditions on this planet that don't exist anywhere else in the universe.
Yeah.
Right? How's it going to cost? About 4 billion quid. Cool. Here's a check. You know what I mean?
Mm.
How on earth do you even get to that kind of, based on something that might or might not be fucking true? It's bonkers, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Mind you, it's not that bonkers. Track and trace got 12 million for something. It's a digital project. It's never going to be finished. It's an app. It's never going to be finished. It's never going to work. No one's ever going to adopt it. But here's the money anyway. But that's a different story, right?
Just going back on that, and I'm not stopping the illusion thing, but I'm just putting in the
haven't
human...
got onto that yet.
Yeah, but just putting the human nature bit into it. I was thinking about track and trace.
Yeah, it's illusion. It's an illusion.
It is an illusion because it isn't based on science. It's based on human nature.
Yeah, which I think they've totally underestimated.
So my understanding is, number one, so on my course today, there's an app that was recommended, which I hope to be reporting on the next pod, because it sounded very exciting.
Like there's this app called TikTok, and you're like, I am all over that. I am all over it. I've been on it. I've got 20,000 views. I'll have you know. No, it wasn't TikTok, no?
No, it wasn't TikTok.
Okay.
So when I heard that, I thought it was a great idea. But I didn't download it straight away. And the guy went, I think it's free, or it might be $1.99. I'm not sure.
Like, I'm out.
And I thought, I actually thought that means I've got to get my credit card out. Do they accept Apple Pay? I probably won't, but he said it would be good for my mental health, but
It's not already, mate, to be honest. It's making me anxious already. Yeah.
And so I might, hopefully I'll go back and have it on my to-do list and be able to speak about it next week. But the track and trace, basically, first of all, you have to download the app. And 65 million people aren't going to download the app.
But that's not, I talk about adoption in kind of app terms and software terms, but that's not adoption, downloading it.
No, it's that utilising.
Download's great. Who's using it?
But I mean,
daily?
You can say that the downloads, it's so severely restricted that it fails at the first hurdle, because you won't get 32 million, you won't get half the population doing it. No. So it undermines the whole thing. Even if you got 500,000 people doing it, and then people used it exactly as it should be used. If you think back in the second lockdown, there's hardly any cafes that had QR codes. I went to places and they asked for your name and address on a piece of paper. And then the other thing is that if you were in a shop, so say near someone who has tested positive, and your job is, I don't know, you're on a building site and you can't be furloughed, and if you don't go to work, your family don't. It's like, well, I'm not going to stay in here for 14 days. I'm asymptomatic. So it's undermined by a theory can't be expanded if it's reliant on human nature. So that could never have worked. No, it just couldn't.
No, if they'd done an Angry Birds track and trace, you're going to get some people having a little look, aren't you?
Yeah. And the interesting thing about the track and trace is that I don't know if you know that they've asked for police to have access retrospectively to it.
Go on, my mind's whirring.
No, that's as far as it's got. There was something brought up
to then go
to see the people who are breaking lockdown.
But the thing is, I haven't got it.
No, I haven't got it.
No.
You said 12 billion. I've seen 22 billion mentioned. That could have changed this world.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
We could have got rid of every homeless person in the UK.
Yeah, even if it's 12 billion. Wasn't that stat? I'm sure we've covered this on the pod. Because it was about protecting the vulnerable people. There was a thing we could have taken all the vulnerable people to Barbados.
Oh, that was the thing I was saying about people in the care homes.
Could have quarantined like 30, was it 30,000? Maybe more. 300,000 vulnerable people.
Yeah, taking them all over there.
Paid them all 30 grand in cash.
Yeah.
And kept them over in Barbados.
Yeah.
For probably less money.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. If someone gave me 12 billion quid, we could build a website and spend every bit of that money. We talk about it at work all the time. If someone has it, we can spend as much money as anyone wants to give us.
Yeah.
That is possible.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to sit here going, those things don't cost 12 billion. Anything can cost 12
billion.
billion.
They haven't in any other country though, have they?
No, they don't. But, I'm just trying to caveat myself here.
They have the potential to.
Anything can cost, 12 billion.
Yeah.
If someone wanted to pay you that much, right? Depending on what your rate was. But generally, things like that don't cost that much money, right? Not even anywhere near it.
No.
So they haven't even gone, we're going to spend 6 billion on getting it on everyone's phone. It's not even a £6 billion marketing exercise, is it? Or behaviour change exercise.
If you paid everybody in the country, children as well, 10 quid, it would only cost £500 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just to do that.
Pay people to get on it.
Yeah. Put it on your phone, and when it comes on your phone, we'll send you 10 quid. Yeah. That would have been a good use of 650 million.
We'll send you some Chewits. Yeah. a pack of Chewits.
Packet of Haribo with your T-shirt.
Yeah, every week until we're all vaccinated.
Yeah.
Right? That would be a brilliant idea. I'd have that on there, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Well, it's like your vitamin D with the injection.
Yeah.
It's in Russia. You get an ice cream. Have you seen that? Yeah, the government bought in that. You get
With
like a Mr. Whippy. Yeah. Yeah. That was just to encourage people.
Oh, that is the vaccine or not?
Sorry?
That's not the vaccine.
It's more powerful than the vaccine. Yeah. Have a 99.
We're back to Pfizer and the Mr. Whippy, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, they're in the same ballpark. There was a pun there in case you missed it. We were talking about Viagra, weren't we?
Ballpark. What was the joke? Have I missed another joke?
We're talking about Viagra. Pfizer make Viagra.
I wasn't talking about Pfizer. I was talking about Mr. Whippy.
You said Pfizer.
Yeah, they made Mr. Whippy and they make vaccines.
Yeah, they make Viagra as well.
Oh, right, yeah, that was a jump.
What's the thing about Pfizer? It's something about the vaccine's bound to protect you because it can bring the dead back to life.
What?
With Viagra.
No idea what you're talking about.
I got nothing.
Getting back to the Higgs boson thing. CERN, the people responsible for this, have now got even grander plans. They're not even going to stop there.
Right.
Apparently a weasel, I don't know whether you heard about the CERN, it actually broke down for about 12 days.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time where it broke down for months and months and months, and it cost about 150 million quid. But
yeah.
There was a time I think it broke down for about 12 days because a weasel got in it
and
knackered it up, so they had to stop. I mean, a weasel
and
a £4 billion bit of kit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How did that get in there?
Yeah.
You think they'd have weasel detection, wouldn't you?
Yeah. It's the first thing you bring in, isn't it?
The first thing. Yeah. When you're presenting the business plan, someone goes, have you thought about weasels?
We got mink and stoats covered. But aren't stoats and weasels the same thing?
I don't know.
Perhaps
that's your homework. Write that in your little pad. So CERN have proposed constructing a new particle accelerator, the so-called Future Circular Collider, the FCC. It's all TLAs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which would be 4 times larger in diameter and 6 times more powerful.
It's not a lot, is it?
What, 6 times?
Yeah.
This thing's got more power than the universe put together. Come on to my point. The German physicist Sabine Hossenfelder contends that there is no reason to believe that the FCC would lead to breakthrough in physics. The tens of billions of pounds it would cost could well be, at best, a huge gamble, and at worst, a huge waste of time. In a blog post in 2018, she went on further, arguing that some physicists fabricate arguments for why the next larger collider should see new particles, and that people have been too drawn to beautiful mathematical theories of physics, such as supersymmetry, despite a lack of evidence. I read that, and I thought that's going to tee us up nicely for the illusion stuff. The idea that you can use mathematics, or people are so into something that they can find a way to make, to basically present the evidence for something. Do you know what I mean? So that just questions, does this thing actually exist at all? Or are we just creating the infrastructure or the measurements or a method of collecting evidence to make something appear?
Yeah.
Then it's a matter of belief. If someone presents that, the evidence doesn't mean it's true.
No.
And then you're into the belief. I'm going to believe that that's the thing because someone who seems to have more GCSEs than I do said it exists. So why? And I can't go and build a dirty great hadron collider to disprove the theory. You know what I mean?
No, but that's why I was going to interject there, because someone has told us. Yeah. That might have been the person who had a vested interest in it existing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he's in that business, and it goes back to the moon landings.
There we go. No, but honestly, can't let it lie.
Everybody in NASA who's invested in that.
But that's the thing. You're like, we're too far down now. We're too fucking far down the line.
They're not
it's
going
not
to
true
spend
though,
$4
just
billion and go.
It is.
It's almost. It has to. It has to be the result.
Or some little oik in the background with the thick rimmed glasses and a clipboard going, I think you'll find none of this is actually true, sir.
Take him downstairs.
What did you say? I've just done my computer, my mathematics, and it doesn't come out right. Yeah, John's right. John who?
No, he left.
No, he's over there on the floor with a bullet in his head. Should we get onto this illusion then?
Yeah. So I need to start.
This is just the preamble. We've got to get onto the.
Okay, let's go on to the meat.
We've got to jump over the music.
Okay. Very quick. No, this is to do with illusion. It was something I didn't finish saying time before last.
Can you carry it over?
To where?
The illusion. We haven't even got to the illusion section. We'll to that next. Unless you want to. We're still chatting bookmarks.
No. Did I put any book? Can you read my bookmarks? I can't be asked.
We've done them.
Not a clue.
Right. let's get on to it. Life is an illusion. I brought some things to the party here. A little bit like the truth. You started to get into some heavy shit. I'm not sure what I can handle. Okay. I'm not sure I have the chops to do it any justice. So I just thought I'd just start. So we've touched on truth and how truth exists, but only in the eye of the beholder, as we've come to establish. I'm trying to boil it down here. And that there is no path to truth as long as we have consciousness. We'll come on to that in a minute. And only death manifests a destination. If there's a path to anything, it's dead. Because if it's not dead, there is no path, and everything is just expanse and kind of exploration and, the pathless land stuff, you remember?
Yeah.
We've established there's no pillars of truth, unlike in the PT Union of the UK, which seems to have the only pillars of truth. So truth is only attainable through life, our life, and can only be based on our own foundations of what we perceive to be true.
Yeah, I'm going to
based on our senses, our spirituality, our belief system, and what we perceive to be fundamentally true, which is our truth.
Yes. Can you go back to the first line of the last bit when I put my finger up?
You're wagging your pen at me like I've been naughty.
What colour ink do you think?
Is it green?
Yes.
It's just wrong. That is so wrong. Truth can only be based on our foundations of what we perceive to be true.
Okay, fine. So this is what I wanted to add as an apology for 2 podcasts ago. I started giving my Sims belief of us being controlled as a part of a great video game.
Very deep.
And as I said it, I could just see, especially Amelia's raised eyebrows, as like, here he goes again. He's been saying this for a long time. Yeah, you're so embarrassing. And I thought, part of me is just court jester, being a little bit contentious. And then I went away and I thought, I don't actually disbelieve that could be true.
Yeah, I know.
But one of the things...
You talk about this, the being played thing, which is the other level of being played, which you referenced at the week. But as if we're literally puppets.
Yes. But there's another part of that maybe will either add some validity to what I've said or maybe explain it. And I started to say it 2 podcasts ago. I went, I've got this theory about being played, and then I never finished the sentence, unlike me.
What did you go on to? Something about cocktails, I don't know.
Yeah, something. So this is the point I was going to make. You know the thing that people go about when a tree falls in the forest, does it make a noise if there's no one there and all that? I've had this theory for a very, very long time, like years and years and years, that it is possible that people only become real when we have an interaction with them.
Yeah.
And I know I'm going to misuse the term hologram because it's maybe what?
It's got Red Dwarf all of a sudden.
I don't really want. I've seen 1 or 2, but I don't. Anyway,
okay, move on. I'm not going to explain Red Dwarf.
And what made me think this was someone called Nina Fedorsky. So when I was at university, I can only remember the name of one person that I went to university with, and obviously I didn't go in very often. If you're looking her up, she's a librarian in Manchester.
Is this the person you're talking about? Not okay. No, she's not someone famous. Just put someone in your story.
Yeah.
Okay.
Were you looking her up?
Yeah, I thought you were just kind of quoting some philosopher.
No, it's a good name though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So she is the only name that I can remember that was a fellow student in the 3/4 years that I wasted at Sheffield.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Now, that's probably from the fact that I didn't make very many acquaintances because I never went in. But her name has resonated with me. And I did look her up at Google, and I think she is chief librarian at Manchester University or Manchester Library. And my only memory, or my main memory of Nina, was that when we did romantic poets, Shelley and Wordsworth and Byron and Keats and all that, she was very into that, and once or twice would try and help me with my English literature by explaining the romantic poets. And we would sit and drink strong black coffee out of chipped...
Yeah, of course you would. You have a black polo neck on. So we first started wearing black rim glasses.
It's when I used to smoke very, very exotic French cigarettes.
Thin ones.
Yes, with a holder. And we would just discuss that...
the monocle years.
Yeah. Was Shelley really quintessentially romantic, or was it the effect of the drugs? And so we would...
Is this before your football hooliganism?
This was after. This was the watershed. Anyway, why I thought of Nina Fedorsky was that of all the thousands of people I've met in my life and had interaction with, the vast, vast majority have disappeared into the ether. I can't remember their names. I can't really remember much the jobs I did with them. I've got some vague memories of knowing some people.
Yeah.
But there's almost 8 billion people in this world. And I think it's only when I've travelled in the past and gone to somewhere like Delhi or Bangkok and just seen the absolute volume of what thousands of people look like. Or when you go to Wembley and go, shit, this is like 90,000 people.
Yeah. Small town.
And that's nothing compared with the whole world.
Yeah.
But my memories and my interactions, it's almost like the rest is just gameplay. And I'm being moved around and I meet people and I have some memory of that. And then they all disappear. So what I'm saying is, like the tree in the forest, do people only become real when you have an interaction with them? And then do they disappear back as holograms or actors within this massive game?
I'm going to have another film reference. Have you seen Fight Club?
No.
Right. So those who anyone have, I'm not going to spoil it. But there's an element I thought you were going to say, or go along the lines of, did Nina really exist? Or
no, she did, yeah.
Well, but she only existed because you observed her.
Yes, she was made real by my observations.
And by your engagement and interactions with her.
And whether that reality was true reality or whether it was a dream or subconscious or whether I was being played and someone with a remote control had sort of said, right, had moved me along in the game and I'd interacted with Nina Fedorsky.
I guess, is it because did she have a profound effect on you in terms of...
The reason being is it's the only name I can remember. And I think that's scary. I was in Sheffield for 4 years.
So that's your point, is that why do I remember her out of...
Yes.
Okay, many interaction. Okay,
yes.
Fine, okay.
And why can I remember what she looked like and what she wore? And I can picture where she lived and the bus stop and I hardly went into... And she wasn't a close friend.
Yeah.
Probably only met her a few times and did a bit of English literature reading. And so why has that stayed in my memory? Why has that interaction been the only one, the only person whose full name I can remember from 4 years in a city?
And there's some element of anyone else may not exist. Anyone else outside of this engagement here may not exist.
No.
Right? I can hear the cats, but they might not exist.
No.
There's an experiment. Cats in boxes. Can I run something past you, which might... Wheeler's delayed choice experiment. You've probably heard about this, but it depends what things have been called. But in 1978, Mr. John Archibald Wheeler proposed an experiment called Wheeler's delayed choice experiment. It involved a moving object that was given the choice to act like a wave or a particle. Now, this is quantum, but I'm not going to get into it, right?
Okay.
I'm using it as the example based on what you've just said. The former acting as a vibration with a frequency that can distinguish it from other waves, and the latter having no frequency that you can determine its position in space, unlike a wave. And at what point does it decide to act like one or the other? Cut to 2016, to carry out the test, researchers from the Australian National University placed a number of helium atoms in a suspended state known as Bose-Einstein condensate. Physicist Andrew Truscott said, who's part of the experiment, said it proves that measurement is everything. I've cut a lot of stuff out here.
Yeah.
This is an abridged version of this experiment. It proves that measurement is everything. At quantum level, reality does not exist if you are not looking at it. The atoms did not travel from A to B. It was only when they were measured at the end of the journey that their wave-like or particle-like behaviour was brought into existence. So the observer effect, I've been trying to bring this in for the truth stuff, and we didn't quite get to the observer effect stuff, where we often forget to factor in the distortion of observation when we evaluate someone's behaviour. We see what they are doing as representative of their whole life, but the truth is, we all change how we act when we expect to be seen. Are you ever on your best behaviour when you're alone in your house? To get a better understanding of other people, we need to consider the observer effect. Observing things changes them, and some phenomena Thanks. You've broken the awkwardness. Only exist when observed. Now, we talked about this in training, and I always bring up the same thing, which is probably the only thing I can really remember about sociology, is about the experiment of observation. So when you're observing something or measuring something, you are changing the outcome of the thing you are looking at.
Yes.
So therefore, it was all about collecting evidence, and there was stats, how you record crime, for example. If you're suddenly monitoring an area for crime, CCTV, or by looking at it, you're the crime suddenly disappears. An example was if you're, it's a real simple thing. If you're testing the air pressure in your tyres, you're changing the result as you're doing it.
Yes.
So you never get an accurate result.
No.
The observer effect is not universal. The moon continues to orbit, whether we have a telescope pointed to it or not. But both things and people can change under observation. So before you judge someone's behaviour, it's worth asking if they are changing because you are looking at them, or if their behaviour is natural. People are invariably affected by observation. Being watched makes us act differently. It's not quite, the fact that if you're not watching something, they don't exist. But we'll come on to that in a minute. But there is still a change of perception. Or when even just a simple fact of what we know to be true, what we know to be reality, isn't, again, but we're getting into truth and fact here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Me interacting with you now, arguably, isn't a true representation of either of us.
No.
And then you could, not easily because it's quite a big jump, but you can easily go, well, does any of this actually exist then?
Yeah.
For that matter.
Yeah. It's just on a slightly different level, and I get your point. I'll tell this story now just because, and this is shoehorning in a little bit. I've got two to shoehorn. The second one isn't a shoehorn. The first one is. So I've got a slow puncture in one of my tyres. So obviously the obvious thing to do is that I continually go to the garage about every 5 days.
And not do anything about it.
I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to ring the garage or actually go there on Monday.
Right.
God willing.
Do something about it.
Yeah, because it's getting...
Do you want me to do it?
Well, other
people... Do we come with you?
that sort of isn't the point.
No, but I just thought you were asking me. No. What are you doing Monday?
So when I went to blow it up again, there were 2 people in front of me blowing their tyres up. And why I find this very interesting, I seem to get a lot of material from...
Did you film them?
I did a little bit, just as a reminder. Why
It's so creepy.
No, it wasn't creepy. No, it wasn't. So what happened was they got out of the car and I was watching them, not filming, watching. Yeah. And the woman looked at me as if, and this is the bit about observation, looking at me almost as if like, I'd rather you weren't sitting in your car while we blow our tyres. I'm not comfortable with you watching
me,
because I've only got 3 minutes on this.
Yeah. I'm feeling pressure.
Yeah.
20 bar of it.
I'm tired. So they went through, I think they obviously do this as a couple because it was like a well-oiled machine. Thing? Yeah, so he went round and took all the things off, all the dust caps.
I don't like him already.
No.
What a loser.
Passed them to her.
Yes, dear.
She was in charge of the dust cap. Well, for this stage, the machine hadn't been got on. He then got the wire and went to
because you don't want to be wasting your time, do you, while you're dicking around?
No, I can understand
that. Don't want to put your 20p in. £50.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I've almost bought a new tyre a number of times, so I've had to blow it up. So he went to the furthest tyre, which is sensible, but this is well
Still don't like it.
No. And then what happened was that you set the pounds per square inch on the machine, and then put the pump onto the tyre, and then when it's ready, it goes beep, 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 and you pull it off. What happened with this couple, partly I think because he was on the far side in case there'd been some problems, she read out the increases one by one in PSI. So he was blowing up the tyre, 28, but no, listen.
As if there's no beep coming.
As if there's no beep. But this is how it went. And
because one of them's crouched down and the other one's on the other side of the car.
What? No, the other one's watching the display and reading it out.
You
can see why I videoed it. So I can show you later. So she's going 28 PSI. She read out the whole thing.
Well, she said PSI each time she read the number.
29 PSI.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And obviously he was going to, 32. And it would go beep, 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 beep. And she went, tyre pressure achieved, something like that.
Are these fucking robots?
No, and then, it's like Stepford Wife, isn't it? But anyway, he did all 4 like that. But I was aware she was looking at me, probably not feeling comfortable. It was almost like that was their time.
Was she looking at you going, he's thinking, I know I'm weird, but now he knows I'm weird.
I think she was looking at me and thinking, why is he pointing a camera at me?
At this point when you got out, yeah.
But going to your point and not trying to be too flippant about this, is that my presence didn't change their activity. It was obviously a well-oiled machine, but I could tell she was quite... perturbed by the fact I was sitting in my car watching this. It was almost like it was something they would have rather done without me. So that's
just all the joy you would have missed out on.
Yeah. So that's number one. But the other thing I was going to say was I get ocular migraines, and they've increased with the beta blockers, which we talked about last time. And ocular migraines are from your brain, not your eyes. And they're generally brought about by a trauma. So when I had my brain surgery, I woke up with an extreme form of ocular migraine. So I was, in effect, white blind.
Okay.
So I couldn't see, but it was like blinding light. They took me to the eye hospital, And they went, no, your eyes are fine, and then discovered it was ocular migraines. Ocular migraines produce patterns and colours, obviously not in my field of vision, because it's nothing to do with my eyes, and it makes no difference if my eyes are shut. So my brain is producing something very, very vivid, sort of kaleidoscope of colours. And I'm thinking, that doesn't exist, does it?
No.
Because I can describe it, but no one else in the world can see it or record it or experience it or has to believe me. Yet when I see it,
It's not a physical thing either. Like I said, it's not happening with your eyes.
No.
It's not like, it's not like
I can't point to something and
it's not a white light that would be generated because if you've put force on it.
Yeah.
There are electrons and photons and all sorts of things doing that in your head.
Yes.
And your brain is interpreting that as light.
Yes.
As
but
lack
this
of
has
vision.
been created by my brain as a result of a trauma, i.e. the operation.
Absolutely.
But it doesn't
exist.
exist.
But it's also, you're right, it doesn't exist in anybody else. And it probably wouldn't exist the same for anybody else also. So it's not really a thing. But also then you're into how this looks. And we've talked about colours before, haven't we?
Yes.
How, I might see yellow on the screen here.
Yes.
You look at it, it might be what I see as blue to me.
Yeah.
It might be that colour to
where
you.
Language comes in.
So when you look at landscapes, I go, it's green grass and blue water and blue sky. You might look at it and it be my purple sky. You might have black instead of the green, and you might go, that looks beautiful. You might be looking at two different things.
Yeah. Well, not even
just
in different colours. It could be someone could look at it and it's basically in 2D, or it's all geometric, or it's pixelated, or
because there's that condition, isn't it, where some people can't recognise other people's faces. I can't remember. I have to maybe do a bookmark next time, but they can't. So people they know.
Yeah.
They don't recognise them.
Yeah. Is that different from hiding behind bins when you see someone you know?
A little bit different.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same outcome. I didn't see him.
That was John. No, what? I found something called the Copenhagen interpretation. I found this article by this chap called Lachlan Brown. It said many scientists have come to the Copenhagen interpretation as their conclusion for understanding reality. The Copenhagen interpretation comes from the school of quantum mechanics, again, and believes that reality does not exist without an observer to observe it. We've just covered that. A reality is nothing more than an energy. What gives us physicality if the smallest parts of us have no physical characteristics? Then the energy is conscious when consciousness is observing it. This may be difficult to understand, but think of it this way. Since particles exist in several areas at the same time, then it must respond to an observation by choosing to exist in a singular location, allowing the observer to have an image to observe. That's my brain flying out of my head. Right? Should I say it again? Or should I just carry on and muddle through?
For the two listeners that are left, I feel your pain.
I'll carry on. People can go back, hit the old back 15 seconds.
Yeah.
A growing number of researchers in this field believe that reality exists only because human consciousness wills it to exist by interacting with the energy that makes up the universe. Kind of getting on, I'm coming to you all a little bit. I want to kind of get onto that. And this is what I think this is. The consciousness illusion, I think it's coined by this guy called Keith Frankish, and he's a philosopher and writer. His article argues that phenomenal consciousness is a fiction written by our brains to help us track the impact that the world makes on us. This is the bit I wanted to get to, talking about your migraine. Just before I come to what phenomenal consciousness is, there's something called access consciousness, that when you attend to what you are seeing, this visual information is globally broadcast to mental systems involved in memory, reasoning, emotion, and decision-making, generating the host of effects mentioned. The experience of a stubbed toe, for example, carries information about bodily damage and will trigger a host of negative associations and reactions. It also has a qualitative aspect, a pure awfulness. Phenomenal, so it's almost like a thing you can actually measure, like a physical kind of reaction. You go, and also that's probably a physical reaction that can happen in anybody. So phenomenal consciousness is what he believes is illusory. I don't think I've ever said that word. For science finds nothing qualitative in our brains any more than the world outside. The atoms in your brain aren't coloured, and they don't compose a colourful inner image. And even if they did, there is no inner eye to see it, nor do they have any other qualitative properties, which is pretty much what you've kind of just said. There are no inner sounds, smells, tastes, and pains, and no inner observer to experience them. If they were, if we're going to talk about reality, we have to talk about consciousness, and this is about consciousness. And literally, what you said about your migraines is literally that. That doesn't exist to anyone else, and this phenomenal consciousness is literally that. got to get on. Sarcopenia.
Yeah. You mentioned it and said when we were doing one of our many reviews.
To revisit.
Yeah, and you'd said, I think it came back when you were saying things you'd enjoyed, and you just
but it's
that
also really resonated with people. People have talked about the virtues of doing strength training and building muscle and that kind of and just talk about aging process, didn't you?
Yeah.
And to some degree, it is reversed. It's probably the closest thing you can get to certainly slowing it down. Or
there's two things. I alluded just now to the worms. There's two things that have come into my mind.
I totally forgot about that.
When we were talking about sarcopenia, we were basically, you're right. It's one way of describing it is an inevitability of the aging process. That as you get older, you age, and as you age, you lose muscle mass. And I mean, I guess our lives is just after a certain age, just a decaying.
It's the arrow of time.
Yeah,
everything is decaying.
Yes.
Everything is
that
dying.
Wabi-sabi again. Right?
Everything is dying, yeah.
When I looked into this, I looked at something that I'm going to refer to from the University of Kent, and a researcher there was saying it's very hard to look into human aging because it takes a long time to do an experiment on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and then they're all dead.
Yeah.
So you have to start again.
Yeah, or you're retired before the results come in.
Yeah.
And so they were saying they use these worms that I'll give the name of in a minute. Been looking at bees. They look at mice. There's one or two other things they look at, because basically if something has got a lifespan of 4 weeks, you can do the whole aging process a lot better. But the one thing they mentioned was a freshwater hydra. Mm-hmm. And this freshwater hydra, when it has been captured and put into captivity, generally doesn't show any...
Sorry, what is a...
hydra.
Oh, what's a freshwater hydra? Is that like a dragonfly or something?
It looks like a mini squid, I think. Is it like a sort of shrimpy, sort of squiddy thing?
It's a freshwater organism.
Oh, they're for sale here.
They're native to the temperate and tropical regions. Biologists are especially interested in hydra because of their regenerative ability. I guess that's what you're talking about here.
Yeah. So it says...
They do not appear to die of old age or indeed to age at all.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah. So hydra back in... I'm trying to remember now from my bloody Latin days. I think, wasn't hydra a multi-headed monster? You better check this because it's more bollocks from me probably. I think it was like a multi-headed monster, and I got a feeling if you chopped the heads off, more grew. In Greek mythology? Maybe not.
A many-headed serpent or monster in Greek mythology that was slain.
I just read that.
That was slain by Hercules, and each head of which, when cut off, was replaced by two others.
Right. Okay.
You're literally Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Aren't you?
But truthful.
In a hoodie. Hoodipedia.
Or Heracles, as now people call him, don't they?
Oh, not Hercules.
No. Hercules is no one. And then there was a quiz show the other day, and someone said, "Or we would have accepted Heracles." It's like
it can't be Heracles. There isn't another e in it.
No.
Anyway.
So the freshwater hydra that they then captured basically doesn't live. The average lifespan is 1,400 years. Some do die.
Sorry.
The average lifespan of a freshwater hydra is 1,400 years.
No way. No, I'm not doubting you. I'm not doubting you at all. It's just like, how on earth have I never heard of that?
We say this every pod, don't we?
even to the mistruths.
Yeah.
Whoa. That is unbelievable. Okay, right. I'm all ears.
So it says their mortality appears to remain low for an indefinite period. In a controlled laboratory setting, they estimated that 5% of a hydra population would still be alive over 1,400 years. Over 1,400
Well, again, they
years.
can't be around long enough to work that one out, but it's just wow.
I think what they did was look at, during a set period of time, what was the aging process. And it was so negligible.
If it carried on like that, it would be, okay.
Yeah. And the ones that the University of Kent
Can we just start eating them? Quick,
yeah,
rub them in your face. Yeah.
The ones when they were saying about the University of Kent, that they said some did die, but it wasn't necessarily through aging.
Yeah.
So that led me to think, I've often said to you, I feel that the inevitability of aging is based on two things. One is because we don't have the medical resources to fight it.
Yeah.
Because you often hear of people like, the oldest person in the world is often like 117, 118, but we haven't gone up to 125 and 130.
No.
It stays around that sort of... So is there an inevitability that with current technology and current medicine, that's as good as we're going to get? Which goes back to the illusion thing. And this is why I wanted to mention the worms. So the worms in this lecture, which I've got a link to from the University of Kent, live on average 3 weeks. And they had them in a petri dish with bacteria, and the worms basically swam around eating the bacteria, mostly E. coli, and were fine. But after a certain amount of time, and I think it was about 5 days, they started showing signs of aging, and they started growing tumours inside, and they started deteriorating their muscle mass, and blah, 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 blah. And then after about 3 weeks, the worms died. So what they were saying is that the aging process, whether it was a worm or a mouse or man, went through the same thing. You got to a peak of, top fitness, and then shit happened and you decayed and died.
Yeah.
But they identified one gene in this worm that if they modified that gene, the average life expectancy went from 3 weeks to 6 weeks. And what they were saying in this lecture was, if that can be replicated, there is no reason, in theory, that couldn't happen all the way up the scale to mice, and then from mice to men.
Okay.
So, literary science.
You got it all, haven't you?
So that was basically why I wanted to go on that. So one of the things I was thinking was, the first thing is that medicine and technology and everything that means we're going to age. And then the second one is a nurturing idea. And this is where I wanted to just speak for a couple of minutes. I have a feeling, or I have a belief, that whether it comes from traditions or from the media or from just society as a whole, that there is pressure for people, as they say, to age gracefully. And when people don't age gracefully, they are looked on as a little bit strange, a little bit eccentric, a little bit out of the ordinary, but they're not celebrated as achievers. But if they are, it's done very much as a tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah.
So when I was running, I went to the UK Championships, and this is for masters, so it's from age of 35 to 100. I'd competed, and I got to the final of the 200 metres, and we were out on the track. We put our starting blocks down. The starter went, can you move your blocks? Because the race before hadn't finished, and it was a 5-kilometre race. And we looked up, and this woman was still running around the track.
All right.
Everybody else had finished.
Oh, right.
And, well, thank you. That was exactly what I wanted. So she ran by, and we just all applauded, and we were very supportive. Put our starting blocks back down, got under orders. Starter goes, can everyone stand up, please? She's got another lap.
Lovely.
She runs by. We all applauded. We'd been warming up for an hour. We're now frozen. You could hear the hamstrings pinging. Anyway, she rang round. And we then had the race. Went back into the stands. And this woman had been in a race that they'd put several age groups together. So it was something like 60 to 80. I think it was men and women.
Yeah.
And when we looked at her time... It was, I think she was something like 78. It was quicker than nearly all the clients I had at that time. But the perception was, bless her. And then when we looked at the times of the people, there was like 60-year-olds doing 20-minute 5Ks, or 70-year-olds doing 20-minute 5Ks. And there's a guy called Stephen Peters, who's the one that wrote the Chimp Paradox.
Oh, yeah.
He is running under 12 seconds... of 100 metres at 64, like 11.5. I don't know anybody that can run that. So the point I'm making is that there's a lot, I feel, that once you start to fight the aging process, you're seen as a bit quirky. Oh, he's taking all those supplements, he's taking all those tonics, sort of know your age. And I'm going to do this as a reference, but I'm going to show you this very, 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 very quickly. So the reference is Train with Joan. I'm just going to show you a transformation picture of Joan. She has clearly defined muscles.
Yeah, absolutely.
And has obviously changed her body. I mean, she's weighing 68 pounds different, but it wasn't for weight loss. It was gaining of muscularity.
Yeah.
So Joan is 74 years old. But the muscle definition in that second picture.
She's a 74-year-old fitness influencer.
Yeah. And her bio has a single phrase: "You can't turn back the clock, but you can wind it up again." And I think that sort of sums up what I'm saying.
Yeah, definitely.
If you look at those pictures of Training with Joan, and you can see her triceps, and you can see her glutes, and you can see her quads, she has reversed the aging process.
Yeah.
And this is the point I think I'm making, is that society and life and the narrative that we're fulfilling is that you do certain things at certain ages, and then one or two people carry on, but instead of it being encouraged and celebrated. So, for example, these Masters Championships, you don't see them on the TV.
No, of course you don't.
But some of the other countries, that was interesting, because I've never gone to the World Championships, but in the European Championships and in the World Championships, some other countries reward their Masters by going, if you're the best in the world at this age, you need to be rewarded. You're an elite athlete. Yeah. If no one at 60 can run as fast as you, that's as valid as no one at 20 or 25 running as fast as you. Yeah. But it's interesting, our perception is these people aren't athletes, these are
yeah.
And it's I think it's that thing, is that athletic achievement is seen just at the elites at a certain age, and beyond that it's just a hobby, or it's just people, instead of being celebrated, as trying to. And so that's the final thing that I wanted to say on this, was that the University of Kent said the most important thing for them in looking at trying to increase human life is, the length of human life, is to increase the healthy human life. Getting people to live older, but having those 10, 15 years of decay at the end doesn't make any sense, just to prolong that agony sort of thing.
Yeah.
But, and I just think, and this podcast might not be going in 30 years, but if it is, I'll come back and update you. But I still think from what I'm doing in terms of my strength training, my diet, that I am pushing back the aging process.
My life hack. My life hacks. This can be quite a big thing or quite a small thing. I call it protect the downside. It's not a new thing.
Okay.
Richard Branson kind of has a screw it, let's do it kind of philosophy, but he's also a big believer of protecting the downside. So I guess any decision you come to or you have to make, I guess just have a little stop and think and go, what is the worst thing that's going to happen? Mm-hmm. And then you kind of just go, okay, you understand what that is, and you can live with whatever that worst case is. But it sounds very simple. And then just do it. Mm-hmm. Not sure everybody kind of does that. I do it all the time because of my work and all the things I have to do in my work. I just have to go, right, what is the worst case here? And sometimes they can be really small things, and sometimes they can be really big things.
I'm not taking my slow puncher.
Yeah.
The worst thing that can happen is that slow puncher gets worse when I'm driving at 80 in the motorway and I crash and die.
Yeah. So just get it sorted.
Get it sorted.
This is a physical kind of hack for a cleaning one. Cleaner Kelly will be all over over this. But if you're trying to find something small, like a nut or a bolt or something out of some jewelry or something, put some tights, if you've got some tights, over the end of your vacuum cleaner, on the end of the nozzle, and then vacuum around where you think that thing is. But it will just get caught in the tights. Okay.
So, sorry, like the first bit like an earring or something?
Yeah, like the back of an earring or something like that.
Yeah.
And you can just catch it in the little net of the tights. Have you got one? Because I want three, but I'm
going to give you a third
to you.
Well, the one I had, I'm not going to use because I have used it before and it isn't very good. This is. I just thought I'd go to goodhousekeeping.com as you told those out.
I thought you had one just because of your wisdom in life.
No, my wisdom is exhausted.
Here's how I got this far.
That I can't get my tyres changed on my car due to
it is amazing
social anxiety. No, I was just whisking through these and it came up with the ones that you'd used in the last one for removing burn stains. This is in Good Housekeeping.
I didn't get it. I got that off a friend of a friend of a friend of a friend. No, I didn't get it off there, but yeah.
And I was going.
These aren't all exclusive to me.
No, I was just going to say this is for the boys out there.
Ooh, lads.
Is moisturise.
I think it's good. I do. Something I came to late on in life.
Yeah, get a decent body butter and moisturise.
Body butter. That's something I haven't done. I probably need to.
What do you moisturise them with? Very liquid.
What do I moisturise? None of your business. What I moisturise.
Well,
I use moisturiser. What do you mean? There's body butter's the only thing you can use?
Yeah,
it's not. How do you use moisturiser?
You can't. If you use moisturiser, how can you do your whole body with moisturiser?
I don't do all my body.
Oh, what? So there's only the bit that you only value some of your body.
All right, why are you making me feel so bad about myself?
I'll buy you some body butter.
All right, get on with it then. I mean, thank you very much. That'd be very kind.
Okay. Oh, well.
If I can smell like you, then what? Then I'd like to smell like you. It's one of my aspirations in life.
Well, with this body butter, you will.
I've got a lot to edit. I'm not going to tell you what the time is on the clock, but I've got my work cut out. Right, that's it for this episode. Well done for getting this far, and thanks for listening. Give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at imfinecast, and send your feedback and ideas to imfinecast@gmail.com. Don't forget to give us a 5-star review if on Apple Podcasts, and tell a friend or 2 or 3 or 4. In the next episode, why? Why, oh why, Mark? Why? Why
moisturise?
Why? Why do we do anything? Why do we get up in the morning? Why do we work? Why do we need money? In some cases, if we have enough stuff, why do we think we need more? Why? What drives us? What motivates us? Nothing like another small question.
Yeah.
Why are we here?
Remember when we talked about buying McDonald's back in the day, getting people into disabled toilets? I think we dived deeper, haven't we?
Yeah, that's all right.
Let's have. I tell you what. I know you've planned a few. I think we need some more retro sweet specials.
Yeah.
Bring Bazooka Joe back.
Yeah.
I
mean, these things are good, but they can get a little bit heavy.
Yeah, we have been here most of the day.
All right. Let's get going then.
Yeah.
See you in the next episode.
No.
Bye-bye.